Om Swastiastu. First of all, greetings to Dr. Igusti Lanang Sidiarta SPAK as our evaluator in this project, and also greetings to all of my friends. In this opportunity, we from Small Group Discussion B6 would like to present our project about stunting in children. But before that, we would like to express our gratitude to the Almighty God for the blessings given to us so that we can finish our project. We also would like to thank to Dr. Agung Nova Mahendra MSc as our facilitator that has guided us to finish this project. And also we would like to thank to Dr. Igustilana Sidiarta SPAK for being our evaluator in this project. So let's start. So our student project is about stunting in children, and the members of small group discussion B6 that has formed a teamwork to build up this project are Amadeus Fernandito Eksana, Nima Deyukta Iswari, Trivena Lisanias, Salin Aurelia Ahmad, Jansen Jayadi, Ana Agung Istri Kosalia Arini, Fiona Mareska, Imade Krishna Putra Pramanda, Shirley Septiana Chandra, Iwayan Mahatma Amarapawana, and Justin Lordialin. My name is Amadeus Fernandito Eksana, and I will present about the background of this project. So, background. Child's development are one of the most important occurrences in human lifetime developmental stage. Early child growth and development are extremely crucial and so important as they are the foundation of a child's future health, growth, and development. An appropriate way of caring becomes the key to achieve good developmental trend of a child. And in this process, parents are expected to be the main architect in their child's growth and development as they are given the responsibility to take care of their children or child. Despite the importance and cruciality of a child's growth and development, there are some issues involved in a child's poor quality of early growth and development, resulting in an impaired growth and development known as childhood stunting or stunting in children. Stunting in children turns out to be one of the major global health priorities nowadays. It also has invited a huge amount of attention worldwide as it has affected approximately 23% of children below 5 years old globally in 2017. In terms of numbers, in that year, 1 in every 4 children under 5 years old were diagnosed with this stunting condition. Several factors and issues may lead to this condition. However, malnutrition becomes the most prominent factors that needs to be disbanded. But also, several factors and issues may become the causes of this childhood stunting that needs to be worked on. Next one will be presented by my friend.
Next, based on the background, we can formulate some statement of problems. What is the general overview? What is the stage of growth and development of neonatal? How is the epidemiology and pathophysiology of stunting in children? What is the etiology and risk factor of stunting in children? How to diagnose stunting in children, how to treat stunting in children, and what are the prognosis. Next is our purpose of the study. To know the general overview of stunting in children, to know neonatal stage of growth and development, to know how is the epidemiology and pathophysiology of stunting in children, to know the etiology and risk factor, to know how to diagnose stunting in children, to know how to treat stunting and the prognosis. Next is the benefits of our study. Students are able to understand and explain about the general overview of stunting in children. Students are able to understand neonatal stage of growth and development. Students are able to understand and explain the epidemiology and the pathophysiology of stunting in children. Students are able to understand and explain the etiology and risk factor. Students are able to diagnose stunting in children. Students know how to treat and understand the prognosis of stunting in children.
Okay, now I will continue the presentation. The general overview. Stunting is a condition that WHO settled when a child's height is lower than average for their age. Children that have this condition also have at least 2 standard deviations below the WHO child growth standard median. We must know that stunting is different from wasting. If stunting is the condition when the children have a low height for weight condition, wasting is a condition when the children have low weight for height condition. We must know the difference between these 2 conditions because when children have stunting, they can also have wasting at the same time. This because the 2 conditions have the same cause, malnutrition of the children, and sometimes it's difficult to distinguish them. We must know what the exact condition that happened to the children in order to setting the best treatment for the children and giving the best preventive action to parents to to prevent the child to have one of these conditions. That's from me. Now, my friend will continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the chance. Now I will explain to you about neonatal stage of growth and development. The periods in child's development are continuous, and there are several definitions of periods. Some of them are here in below. There are newborn, and after that infant, then toddler, preschooler, school-age child, and lastly there is adolescent. Newborn is also known as neonatal. So neonatal stage is from birth to 4 weeks. In this stage of development, it is really important to make sure that a child is having an adequate nutritional intake because it's crucial for infant's development, and the first 1000 days of life are the foundations of an optimum health, growth, and development. For example, the first 6 months, a child should only consume breast milk or unmodified milk substitute. After the first 6 months, they may be introduced to foods other than breast milk, such as fruits, vegetables, and small amount of meat. If they don't have that, maybe the development will be deviate from other child. That's from me. Now the presentation will be presented by my friend. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to explain about the epidemiology. Stunting is a challenging global health issue that it is estimated to suffer by 155 million children in 2017 by the Global Nutrition Report. Stunting is connected with an underdeveloped brain that has harmful effects both in childhood and children's future. In childhood, children may experience reduced mental ability and learning capacity, and bad performance in school. While in children's future, they may experience lower productivity and higher risk in chronic diseases that are nutrition-related, such as obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. Stunting can be caused by many factors such as maternal, child, and environmental problems. In 2016, the prevalence of children stunting in Indonesia is 27.5%. And based on World Health Organization standard, stunting is defined as chronic if the prevalence is higher than 20%. Therefore, Indonesia has developed chronic malnutrition nationally.
Thank you for the chance. Now I would like to continue about the pathophysiology of stunting. The pathophysiology of stunting is still not fully understood, but deficiencies in prenatal and postnatal nutrition, systemic infection, and intestinal infection are thought to contribute to the incidence of stunting. The new findings suggest that environmental enteric dysfunction, or EED, and pediatric environmental enteropathy, or PEE, plays a major role in the pathogenesis of stunting. That's about the pathophysiology. This presentation would be continued by my friend. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Now I'd like to explain the etiology and also risk factors that comes with stunting. The World Health Organization has classified it into 4 major factors. The first one being household and family, the second one being inadequate complementary feeding, the third one breastfeeding, and the last one is infection. Household and family factors include poor nutrition during preconception, pregnancy and lactation, short maternal stature, infection, adolescent pregnancy, mental health issues, the use of IUGR, preterm birth, short birth spacing, and also hypertension. Whereas the family factors include inadequate sanitation and water, poor care practices, inappropriate intra-household food allocation, inadequate child stimulation, low caregiver education, and food insecurity. Poor quality foods, insufficient feeding practices, low sanitation, safety of food and water all contribute to the nutrition factors in complementary feeding in children so that they can experience stunting. Next, breastfeeding plays an important role in child development. Delayed, non-exclusive, and early cessation of breastfeeding can have an unbalanced growth effect to children. Infections such as diarrheal diseases, environmental enteropathy, and other parasitic infections such as malaria and other respiratory diseases all relate to infections that deprive children of physiologic linear growth. That is all from me, including etiology and risk factors. The presentation will be continued by my friend. Thank you for your attention.
Today I would like to continue this presentation about the diagnosis of stunting. Diagnosis of stunting is obtained from taking anamnesis and physical examination, including measurement of body weight and height. Investigation also needed to confirm the infection or other illness that can cause stunting. The first one is anamnesis. In-depth analysis should be done to determine the etiology and risk factor that may underlie the stunting condition. In addition, a deeper analysis is expected to detect comorbidities, child development disorders, and history children's nutritional intake. With history taking, the clinician can also exclude the differential diagnosis of childhood growth disorder such as hypothyroidism. Anamnesis is done to find out the complaint, birth and growth history, nutrition history, and family history. And then the second one is physical examination. The physical examination is very important in every counseling session and is carried out include vital signs examination, anthropometric measurements, height increments, and height genetic potential. The first one is vital signs examination. Examination of vital signs such as temperature, pulse, and respiratory rate is performed to assess the presence of comorbidities. Increased breath rate and shortness of breath can lead to airway disease or disorders or congenital heart disease, which can be risk factor for stunting. And the second one is anthropometric measurements. Anthropometric measurements include body weight and body height and head circumference. For children under 2 years, head circumference will be measured. Once measured, the data were plotted into WHO curve chart. Interpretation of anthropometrics result is useful to support diagnosis. Stunting children are so usually underweight or weight per age below -2 SD, or wasting or weight per height below -2 SD. And then the third one is speed of growth or height increment. Stunting children have an abnormal or slower growth rate than they should. We can also use WHO length or height increments table to see where the speed at which children grow relative to the population is located. We can also use WHO length or height increments table to see where the speed at which children grow relative to the population is located. And then the last one is high genetic potential. Genetic high potential can be used to project the high potential of children as adults. In stunting that is not properly interfered or interfered late, then the child may not be able to reach their high genetic potential as adults. The genetic high potential is calculated by the following formula, as you can see on the slide. That's all from me. This presentation will be continued by my friends. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Now I'll continue the presentation in treatment in stunting. So currently, there is no cure for stunting in children. This is because once children are diagnosed with stunting, it is hardly for them to reverse their growth back. Hence, the world needs to focus on addressing the problem by preventing stunting in children. So how do we prevent the stunting problems? Firstly, we need to develop the measurement method in assessing children's growth to help scaling and monitor effective programs in prevention. Secondly, we need to socialize the intake of micronutrients well, like well-diverse diets and exclusive breastfeeding for pregnant women. And lastly but not least, we need to improve the community hygiene by ensuring the availability of clean water and sanitation. That's all from me, and we can continue to the next presentation. Thank you.
Alright, now I will explain about the prognosis of stunting in children. It all depends on when the children get treated for their stunting. If the stunting occurs in 0 to 2 years of age in children, it will abruptly affect the cognitive, language, and motor ability of the child, as children under 5 years old are undergoing so many critical developments itself. Now, we all know that nutritional status is a very important factor needed for a child to grow, and the lack of nutrition itself will result in, after getting treated or compensate with food, the proportion of the body may not be age appropriate, or the child after experiencing stunting may face impaired development of the immunity ability. They will be susceptible towards infection or skin inflammation. So for short, the development of children, including cognitive, motor, language, and other skills, will be hampered compared to toddlers who have good nutritional status for starters. Alright, that's it from me. Now the presentation will be continued by my friend.
Thank you for the opportunity given to me. Now I would like to summarize our student project about stunting. The growth and development of children are crucial, so they need balanced nutrition during those processes. They should get proper components of each nutrient to be able to reach the optimum health condition. Stunting is a condition when a kid at a certain age has lower height than its average standard. Stunting indicates problems during child growth and development, and it is still a concern worldwide. It affects 155 million kids around the world in 2017. Prevalence of stunting in each country is different. Indonesia is still dealing with stunting, and data shows that 27.5% of children are affected by it. Indonesia is considered as a country with national chronic malnutrition, low family income, early maternal age of pregnancy, non-exclusive breastfeeding, history of infectious disease in infants, and lack of kids' growth and development monitoring are some cases that could increase the possibility of children to suffer from stunting. Environmental enteric dysfunction, or EED, and pediatric environmental enteropathy, or PEE, also contribute to stunting pathophysiology. Anamnesis and physical examination should be done to obtain the right diagnosis for stunting. There are no treatments available yet for stunting, but prevention should be implemented to decrease the number of children experiencing it. Prevention methods suggested by World Health Organization are developing measurements method to assess and monitor child growth and development, then providing understanding about the importance of micronutrients intake in infants and ensuring the availability of clean water and also sanitation in the community. Prevention of stunting is really important since there's low possibility of getting cured, which can lead into cognitive, motor, and language skill deficits in infants. Next, these are our references that we get, and we used it for our student project. All right, that's all about our presentation. As the representative of our group, I would like to say thank you for your attention and sorry if we made any mistakes during the presentation. Well, thank you once again and have a good one.